Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out every single week, please do me a favor, take 1 second out of your day and hit that little red subscribe button there. You'll be notified of any new videos that drop and they'll show up in your home feed there. And it greatly benefits the channel. Should only take a second out of your day. Please do that. Also comment and like the videos that you're enjoying that I put out. Leave me some feedback. I'm enjoying making these videos and growing this channel and growing our following and doing something really special. I'm also looking forward to seeing everybody at HuntStock. If you haven't got your tickets yet, you can go to Eventbrite. The link will be in the description of all of my podcasts. Get your ticket to HuntStock. It's going to be an event unlike any other hunting event. A reminder, we're going to have the best door prizes out of any show ever, all right? $15,000 worth of door prizes. We're giving away brand new bows, Woodman Arms muzzleloaders, 3 sets of Yokohama tires for your trucks or 4-wheel drive vehicles. We've got First Light apparel. We've got Wild Edge saddles. We've got original artwork. I mean, it's going to be an incredible weekend for the door prizes alone, not to mention all the live podcasts, all the seminars, the greatest group of hunting talent ever assembled in the Northeast in one location. It's going to be an awesome time. We're going to enjoy each other's camaraderie and celebrate our culture. So if you haven't, get your tickets to HuntStock online. You can also get them at the door as long as we don't sell out before then. We're looking forward to seeing you guys there. Again, quick like, subscribe, and comment on all the videos. And thanks for your support. This is a first, so podcast guest comes in wearing my hoodie. Thanks a lot, dude, for that.
Yeah, sure.
And he's like, hey, I made you a present. You don't have to keep it. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to put it in the studio. But what is it? What the hell is this thing?
This is a stand so future guests can bring their mounts and hang it on there. And it'll be at the right height so when you're sitting there talking to them.
That's a great idea, man. That's an awesome idea. Thank you so much for that, dude.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I brought a mount so we can see how it works.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's get it. You want to get it?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's do it.
If you want to throw that where it belongs.
Dude, that's sick. All right, let's try it out.
Ta-da.
Dude, that works awesome, man. Thanks so much for that. That is sweet.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know what side my side would be, but...
Yeah, you're sitting there.
So, boom.
Usually I'm over there because my right side is my good side, so...
Yeah, I mean, if we got to turn it a little bit so it looks better or whatnot, but...
Dude, that is so sick.
And that, I tried to make it low enough so it'd be, like, in frame.
That's, like, perfect.
Because I know when I watch the podcast, I can just see the bottom of yours back there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just a makeshift trophy room until I figure out where it's actually going to be in the house. But that works awesome, dude. Thanks a lot again. All right, this week's guest is Matt Boyden. He is a Western Massachusetts hunter. He hunts the big woods out in the Berkshires there and does some bow hunting in the big woods. So we'll get into some bow hunting strategy. He also gun hunts as well. He's been pretty darn successful. He's a good hunter. He's got a lot to share with us, and I met him out at the Springfield Sportsman Show. He had a lot of good, positive energy, and felt like he had a lot to share. So he made the trip down here, and as you saw in the opening there, he brought a gift, a really awesome, thoughtful gift. He watches the podcast. He's a fan. He noticed people are bringing Euros and sheds and stuff, but he made a stand so that if anybody in the future wants to bring a shoulder mount, they can bring it and hang it on that stand. So thanks again for that, Matt. That was awesome. Super thoughtful. Appreciate it. And let's get into this podcast now. Here he is. It's Matt Boyden. It was 75-mile-an-hour winds. It was hailing. It was nuts. And I was like, we were both terrified. Like, we were trying to get out of the woods, and there was nothing we could do, and there were trees just falling everywhere. Yeah. Like, on every which side of the... I mean, it was nuts. My dad was terrified. He was like, why the hell would you bring me on this? I'm like, Dad, this was not in the forecast. This snuck up on us. Yeah. But that's what it was like this year, like, a lot of times.
We hunt a lot in New York State. One time we drove out there and got into the woods not far, and... I don't know why it blew up, and a transformer, like, right in the parking lot exploded. Yeah. You saw that big, like, lightning flash behind you, and we're like, geez, this is no good. And no. We get in a little bit further in the woods, and that's when we saw the big deadfall come down, and it was like, maybe we should just go home today.
Yeah. Well, it's like we're so addicted to hunting. I mean, you probably are, right? I haven't even asked you yet, but you're probably addicted to hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So addicted to hunting, you just want to be out there whenever you have the free time.
Yep.
You know, you just have to.
Last year, Thanksgiving Day, it was raining. And I was like, all right, it's a holiday. I'm staying home. The next time I went into my spot, looked at my camera, and there was the buck I was chasing walking through the fog that Thanksgiving morning. So this year, I just strapped that silly umbrella to the tree. I just sat out there miserable the whole time. And I don't feel like the pouring rain's the best time to kill a deer, but because I got that one picture, I'm out there.
And I love hunting bad weather. I just love it. We might as well just start the podcast. I started rolling it here anyway. We got Matt Boyden here. Is that how you say the name? Yeah. Matt Boyden on the Huntsburbia podcast. Met you out at the Springfield Sportsman Show, right, a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. We had a great conversation. I was like, let's get you on the podcast, man. And
here I am.
Matt showed up. He brought not only his deer mount, which is a beautiful, like super rare looking 6-pointer, like these 3 tines come out of the same spot. It's pretty incredible. But he brought me that gift, and you guys probably see it because I'll put it before the podcast starts. But what an awesome stand, man. I really can't thank you enough for bringing that.
I'm glad you're impressed because, like I said, I'm a plumber. I'm not a carpenter, so.
I'm impressed because I can't swing a hammer worth of shit at all. So that was just really cool and thoughtful, and I think it's going to be utilized in a lot of podcasts coming up. So thank you again very much for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I enjoy the show.
Yeah, thanks, man. So we were just talking about hunting in bad weather. It's been so windy. It's super windy out right now. It's probably, 50-mile-an-hour gusts and a blizzard. And you drove a long way, so thank you for that. Please drive home safely. We're only having one beer. It's going to be an hour-and-a-half podcast, so it's going to be out of your system. We're not promoting any drinking and driving.
I'll make sure I pee before I leave. I'll do a water.
But hunting in bad weather. You don't like to hunt in the rain, huh?
I haven't had that moment yet where I'm like, oh, this totally paid off. I need to be out here. But I had that picture of a buck in the rain, so that made me be like, I need to be out there when it's raining. So I got that umbrella.
Yep.
But I haven't had that moment yet where I was like, this paid off.
See, like in the first 3 years that I've seriously been bow hunting, it's only been the last 3 years, I've killed 3 of my deer in the rain or right after the rain stops.
Yeah.
So I really love that soft,
right?
Soft leaves, a little bit of wind. I love that. I love being silent in the woods, and the rain really does that to you.
Yeah.
Gives you some advantages.
When it starts or stops, I think it's important to be in the woods then.
Yep.
So sitting through some rain is a necessary evil to be there for when it stops or right before it starts.
Yep. But while it's happening, it's pretty awesome to walk around though and sneak around, and you can sneak up on bedded deer, and I've done that a few times. Snuck up on them bedded down. I haven't shot one in their bed yet, but I do want to do that. I want to shoot one in their bed from the ground with my bow in a rainstorm at some point. I really do. I just think that would be awesome.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine.
So why don't we just start this one out with you talking about this buck right here, which is a beautiful, amazing 6-pointer.
All right.
Scored 131 and 2/8, right?
Yeah.
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 What's the story with this guy?
So it has to start with another deer first.
Perfect.
So I was laid off from work,
Yep.
so I had time to go hunting. My buddy says, let's head out into the Berkshires for opening day of shotgun. So, all right, game on. I got time. We get to the parking lot, and it's that hashtag Orange Army.
Yep.
Cars everywhere. And we were like, well, we're here. So we put our orange on, we get our tree stands on, and one of the guys comes over and says, hey, what are you kids doing? Well, we're gonna hike in and get in trees to, deer hunt. They're like, you're not gonna wait for daybreak? And they thought it was crazy that we weren't gonna wait until the sun came up to all walk in at once. So
walk in with them. They wanted you hey dude, wait.
Yeah,
we're all gonna go in at the same time.
Like a big group drive with no standards or sitters. So we're like, oh, we're gonna go in. So we went way in with our tree stands and hung out, and I shot a beautiful 8-point. And then I called.
What do you mean? Well, back up though. What happened with this beautiful 8-point?
It came walking
You
down.
can't just say I shot a beautiful 8-point and then go to the next one. So was it right at daybreak? You think those
No,
guys?
it was at the end of the day.
Did those guys push it in? Okay, no, end of the day.
I don't think they pushed it in because I didn't see any hunters come past where I was in the woods.
But it was that first day, opening day of shotgun?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it came down the mountain out of some laurel, and I shot it. We dragged it out and stuff. But that led me to tell my other buddy, who owns a bow shop, that I finally shot a nice deer. And he reminded me that the quabbin, which at the time was still a lottery hunt that I'd gotten the ticket for,
Yep.
was coming up the next week. And I said, "Oh, all right." Like,
so how many years ago was this? Do you remember?
It'll be 10 this fall.
Okay.
Because this was
2012.
2012. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So it was your first mature buck, the 8-pointer.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my buddy's like, "Oh, the quabbin's kind of a crapshoot anyways. Like, I know where I want to hunt. Just, walk into the other side of the road."
Yeah.
So we go to where he wanted to hunt, and he went to his tree, and I just kind of beat into the bush 200-300 yards and climbed a tree.
Never been there before? Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope. And you need to be completely off the property. I think it was 4:00. So it was like...
Really?
Yeah. It was like 3?
Before it got dark?
Yeah. Yeah. The quabbin, you'd line up at like 5. They'd open the gate at 5:30. You'd have all your special documents. You'd give them. They'd take half of it. You'd give one back. Leave one on the windshield. Like, it was a process.
Huh.
But yeah, I sat in our stands all day and didn't see any deer. And buzzed me on the radio like, "Hey, it's 3. We should probably think about getting down." So put my shotgun over my shoulder and started to undo my stand. And I looked over and I was like, "Oh, I just saw some brown coming through the pine whips." It was real piney in there. And you get like a bonus doe tag there too. So I was like, "Well, here we go." And I just saw a little bit of antler going through the trees. I was like, "Even better, it's a buck." Wham! And I saw a white belly. I was like, "Cool." And back on the radio, "Hey, did you just shoot?" "Yeah, that was me." He's like, "Well, you better hurry."
Because you even got to have your drag deer out by 4?
Yeah,
or what happens?
They'll come find you.
Yeah, but like, is it like, I don't know, like, what's that rule like? What happens if it's not illegal if you're out by? They're just recommending you got to be out by 4?
Yeah, it's their rule. It's their hunt.
Yeah.
So.
But they're not like going to confiscate your deer if you come out at 5 or something, right? If
no.
you, like, had to drag it or okay, just wanted to check because I haven't heard much about it.
Yeah. But like when we got back to the car, there was definitely one of the rangers there waiting for us and like, "Hey, everybody's okay. They just had dragging a deer out."
Yep.
So everybody knew.
Yep.
Yeah, it was kind of uneventful shotgun story. Just the right place at the right time, and this has been my biggest deer for up until this year.
But he's a freaking beauty, man. Did you weigh him at all? Do you weigh any of your deer?
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
163 pounds.
Yep.
And I think I've shot like 3 or 4 deer now that have weighed 163.
Wow.
It's spooky.
Yeah, that's your number.
Yeah.
So 163, 131 and 2/8, and I mean he's a beautiful buck. What time of so shotgun? So it was December. So
yeah, and this was the second week because they always did it on like Thursday and Friday of the first week, and Thursday and Friday the second week.
Yep.
Depending on what property was getting hunted.
Yeah. Yeah, so he lost some weight between when he was at his peak, probably 190-pound deer, probably, right?
Sure.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Do you think with so many people hunting the quabbin, because they do give a lot of, right? They gave a lot of tags out, and them all wanting to get down around 3, you think, was he acting like somebody pushed him to you at all? Do you think there were any hunters even close to you, or he was just moseying through?
There was hunters close, because that was part of our plan about sitting in our tree stands all day, is letting everyone else push the deer to us.
Yeah.
But he was just moseying through the forest doing deer things.
And he was the only deer you saw that day?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just gorgeous, man. He really is. He's an awesome, awesome deer. And I love the full sneak pose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then let's go to the deer you got this year. That is your biggest deer after this one, right?
Yeah.
Like he usurped him. But you've killed a lot of deer. I've seen a lot of pictures. You've killed a lot of awesome deer. But let's talk about the hunt this year.
So I got pictures of a good deer early, and that's not totally uncommon, but I usually don't shoot the big deer.
What do you mean by early? When did you get the pictures?
Like October.
Okay.
Like in October.
When do you put your cameras out?
September, August, somewhere right there.
Okay. So you don't really put you don't put summer cameras out. And are you hunting mostly big woods?
Yes.
No suburban areas really at all. Big woods.
I'm on the wrong podcast. I'm sorry.
No, this isn't. We talk to all different kinds of hunters. And I love hunting big woods too. But just so we can gear towards, you're a big woods hunter, Western Massachusetts. Yep. Do you hunt New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, any other places? New York, right?
New York, a lot.
Big woods there too?
Lot. No. That's just whatever we get on for state land is what we hunt in New York State.
Okay.
And it's closer for me to hunt in New York State than it is to come to your house.
Yeah.
Because, Western Mass is all the closer.
Yep. So let's talk about then your big woods hunting strategy, right? And as we lead into this deer that you killed, you put your cameras out September, October. Do you have cell cameras? Or are you using regular cameras most of the time?
Regular camera.
Okay, so no matter what, you got to go check it.
Yeah, I hold off on checking a camera unless I'm hunting that stand.
Yep, that's a good strategy, I think.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people doing that.
And I'll pull the card.
And it's more of a big wood strategy for sure. When you're in the suburbs, you got cameras I might have 25 cameras within a 10-mile radius from here. I can get to them pretty quickly. So I check them. I intend to check them a lot. But I think you get away with a lot more when you check cameras in the suburbs than you would in the big woods anyway, because they're more used to the scent all over the place. But yes, obviously. So you put a camera up, and next time you go to hunt that spot, you'll check it on the way in, right?
Yeah, I usually keep a camera like within shooting distance of my tree.
Yeah.
But it even still, like, you see the tracks in the snow. Like, if you got your camera pointed this way, deer walks that way. So I know I miss a lot of photos, but you can't tell the deer where to walk.
No, and especially in the big woods, you're gonna miss a lot of photos.
Right. So I got one camera on a signpost rub, and this was the third year I've had a camera on that, and I'm starting to get the feel for that now. So I feel like the signposts are a good place to hunt October, and maybe just a little bit into November, and then after that it turns to nighttime only action or no visits.
So you're seeing on your cameras that you have on the signposts that they're visiting them in October and November?
Yeah.
Yep.
Only the very beginning of November, though.
Yep. And are you seeing the same buck coming back multiple times sometimes, or is it kind of, it's a bunch of different bucks? Are you getting all the bucks in the area hitting that signpost, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, I see a lot of deer on the signpost rubs. There's definitely some repeat offenders, though. The buck I killed this year was a repeat. There was a 7-point that was a repeat deer.
But when you say repeat, you get 2 times they went through there, 3 times? Because in the big woods, they're doing big loops, right? And it's it's so much harder to...
Yeah, I would say 3 to 4.
Yep.
3 to 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was a fairly well used trail for those repeat offenders. They went through 3 to 4 times in a month, right? Which is that's pretty good for big woods, right?
Right. But it'd be the middle of the week, and I'm like a weekend warrior, so
could be, yeah.
Just keeps your hopes up though, knowing that they daylight sometimes, or they're there.
No, you're a big bow hunter, and you love shooting bows. We'll talk about that later too, like competitive archery and stuff. But was this buck that we're talking about now that usurped this one as your top buck? Was he a bow buck or was he a gun buck?
He was a gun buck.
A gun buck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as much as I love archery, the 3D, the indoor paper leagues, I'm a deer hunter.
Yeah.
So if it's archery season, I got my bow. If it's shotgun season, I got my shotgun. If it's muzzle loader, I got my muzzle loader.
What I was getting at, right, is like bow hunting in the big woods is so much harder. If you're hunting in those big woods where the bucks are going through in a much less patternable way, right? You got to try to... It's just much harder if you're going in a mile and a half into some big woods. Mm-hmm. And with everything you can just picture, right? Everything's so much bigger, it's harder to get them into a 30-yard radius, which you need with your bow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I spent a lot of time in New York State in the early season, and
so that's where you do a lot of your bow hunting.
Yeah.
Is early season in New York.
Yep.
Before shotgun starts here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And where I live, it's cross your fingers for a doe permit, and I can go 30 minutes away to New York, and they're like, doe tags.
And the deer are much more plentiful, probably 30 minutes away in New York too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Isn't it crazy just the differences in terrain? What do you think it is? Where you live, you're in the mountains, you're few and far between with food sources.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of ag probably, and then you go to New York, and are you down in a valley where you hunt there?
Yeah.
Or why do you think there's so many more deer and opportunity?
Probably the ag. There's better food, I guess. Maybe there's more highways. Deer seem to like the highways. You see them on the side of the highway a lot.
Yeah. I think it's because people don't walk along the edges of highways. Cars just become another background noise, like wind or thunder or something, right?
Yeah.
I feel like to them it's just like they don't recognize cars as danger, and we know because so many of them get killed.
Yeah.
By cars. I just think it's, an extra background noise to them, but they just don't, nobody walks along the edge of a highway. So I think they just like plus it's an edge.
Some of us walk down the edge of the highway.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's definitely been a tactic of ours to like park in the parking area and backtrack to the highway and,
For sure.
cover a lot of ground walking on that nice grass along the median there.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like, it's only a few hunters who will walk the edges of the highway. I just think deer feel safe there.
Yeah.
The whole highway thing, everybody does always say, there's deer along highways, and I agree with that.
I mean, it's field edge, really. I mean, it's grass down both sides of the road.
Yeah.
So it's glorified field edge.
Yeah. And I've been to Anticosti a few times. You ever heard of Anticosti?
Yeah, Maine.
Yeah. It's in Quebec in Canada. It's an island. It's an island up in the Gulf of the St. Lawrence there. And my uncle went years and years ago, and he'd always come back with $2. You get $2 there. You'd see 100 deer in 4 days. There's deer everywhere. It's an island that was actually built. It wasn't built, but it was settled by a chocolate king of Canada. He was called the Chocolate King. I think his name was Charles Meunier, and he bought the island, the entire thing. It's 100 miles long and 6 miles wide, and he bought it as his own personal wildlife sanctuary to hunt. He imported species there that were not supposed to be there. I think he imported, I don't think there were naturally bear there, but he imported bear. There's not bear there anymore. But it's turned into this place where whitetails have taken it over. It's whitetails. There's some moose there. There's foxes all over the place. Foxes are the only predators on the island. You shoot a deer, literally the foxes are accustomed to hearing the sound. They hear the gunshot and they come because they know there's going to be a fresh gut pile to feast on. So you'll shoot a deer and you'll just see foxes popping out of the woods. It's pretty cool. And actually I hunted with a fox one day, pretty much all day. He just kind of ran alongside me or walked in the trail in front of me and just kind of
sitting down waiting for gunshots.
He kept a 15-yard buffer with me and just hung out with me as my buddy all day. It was really cool. I've been there 3 times. It's mostly still hunting and all that. But yeah, anyway, this guy, I think it was Charles Meunier, and he was the Chocolate King. Imported a lot of species there. But when you're driving around on the roads, they have a cut. They cut all the roads, 20 yards on each side or so in. They bushwhack it, and it creates all this nice undergrowth. So you just see so many deer on the edges of these roads while you're driving on Anticosti, and that's what you reminded me of there. I mean, it's just in a macro version on these big highways around here and in the U.S., these giant highways. It's the same as those little micro on that island. When you bushwhack 20 yards in, the undergrowth comes up, it's an edge, and the deer like to hang out there.
Yeah.
It's So hunt edges. If you're listening, hunt edges.
Yes, that's a fact.
Hunt
that's
edges.
a fact.
And don't be afraid to hone in on highways.
Oh, sometimes it takes me a while to figure a piece out because I like to see what it looks like in the snow.
Yeah.
And I'll just follow deer tracks. And a lot of times they'll hook back around, or you'll catch a track somewhere and you notice all the deer keep crossing in the same area. And if you see that rototilled snow and leaves mixed together, that's usually...
That's what I love to see.
Yeah.
Feeding area.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of feed. If I can find a lot of crossings. I really lucked out on my new favorite spot, my kill tree, because I found that rototilled area.
So you found a kill tree in the big woods?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because that is a tough thing for people to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people listening might be suburban hunters, but there's like just as many that love big woods hunting or are aspiring to go out and check big woods. And let's talk about how you found that kill tree.
It was the snow. Like I saw all the feeding sign.
Late season or postseason?
Late muzzleloader.
Yep.
So I just see all that feed sign and then start backtracking out of it deer trails to see how they kind of like relate to the land. And then you get new snow. That's new information. So see what they're doing then. And it was following deer tracks from that area that I found that signpost rub I was talking about earlier. So there's...
Did you backtrack them all the way to their beds?
No. But sometimes.
But you can, and that's definitely, if you have the time to do that.
The deer don't bed consistently always.
Especially in the big woods, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, I'll touch on this. So I always thought I wasn't getting it. Deer hunting. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like everything I'd read, say food, bed.
Yep.
And
and the Midwest.
I just couldn't figure that out where I lived. And then I finally read Hal Blood's book. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, deer just bed down wherever they want. And I was like, oh, this is what I see. Yeah. And it was once I read Hal's book that I was like, my deer in Massachusetts are actually big woods deer. Yeah. So that was like the light bulb moment for me. Like
that's why none of that Midwest stuff worked for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Hal's books right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's when the light bulb went off.
And is that also when you started like honing in on signposts?
I mean, I knew they were a thing, but I wasn't actively looking for them. But now that I found one, it's really cool. Yeah. I just like seeing the pictures of the deer, and I don't know why I never set my cameras on video, but this year I set some cameras on video, so I actually see the deer work in the tree, and that's awesome too.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
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 So, reading Hal's books and stuff, do you do any tracking, or are you mostly stand hunting in the big woods?
No, I'll track if there's snow, good snow.
Yeah.
I met a friend at archery in Vermont, and he was saying how he likes to track, and I said how I had just read Hal's book, and I'd like to get into it. And he's like, oh, I know an area, and he's like, and when you track, it's not like it's my spot. We're not going to my spot. Like you show up to an area and you just walk out into the woods, so
find the track, and then whoever finds that is their track.
Right. Yeah. So it's not my spot. It's just areas to hunt.
It's a 6,000, 10,000 patch of area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he said he'd show me that stuff, and we have a camp in Vermont in that area. So I was like, hey, I got a place we can stay.
I didn't know. Did we talk about that yet? You have a camp in Vermont?
Maybe,
I can't remember if we did
just briefly.
At the show, but
we talked about lake trout for a hot second. Yeah. So we're up in the Northeast Kingdom.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
Yeah. So I tried some tracking up there, but again, being a weekend warrior, I was kind of just stuck with a Saturday and a Sunday. Drive up on Friday, half a day Sunday. Yep. But I cut my teeth on it up there like 3 years ago, and then Vermont's gun season closes and our gun season opens. So I was like, I'm going to stick with this tracking business. And I got into an area, and I got on a track, jumped the buck out of his bed, but he almost immediately went across a really raging small stream that was just engorged with like runoff because it was warming up, but we had a lot of snowpack on the ground. And I had to go 400 yards up to find a log to cross, and I was like, stick with it. Don't give up, right? That's what they all say.
An enraging small stream, dude. Yeah. Lanny Benoit would laugh at you.
I know.
Did you watch that Lanny Benoit one I did?
Yeah.
He just, I just love when he says, the only thing that saved a big buck back in the day was daylight ending or a huge river, you know. And I was just like, I don't think a big river always saved him, did it? He's like, no, we used to cut a tree, go across it. Yeah. So no, but I know those small streams can swell up like crazy. Yeah, you definitely got to find a way to cross it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kept beating along the track and going for it and telling myself, don't give up, don't give up. And it was it was warming up, so it was kind of foggy. And all of a sudden I hear a deer blowing. And I think Rodney Elmer says, just because a deer blows doesn't mean a deer goes.
Yeah.
So I just stopped and I hung out.
I haven't heard him say that. That's awesome. Yeah.
And then
actually, it usually means they stay for a long time. In
right.
my opinion, when I've seen them blow, they'll stay and blow for 5 minutes.
Yeah, so this deer is blowing at me and blowing at me, and finally the fog lifts enough I can see a silhouette. This just happened to be a year that had a doe tag in my pocket. And I'd gone far enough where any deer was going to be a good deer now because, you know, tracking, right?
Yeah.
So I settle up and drop it, just shooting at a silhouette, and it was a big doe.
Awesome.
I think it weighed 126 pounds.
Yeah, great doe.
That was a big doe.
Yeah.
And I chose to drag it 1 mile, west, because east was that brook that I wanted nothing to do with a deer. So that was a good time. And then maybe that was the first week of shotgun. And then the first weekend. And then I went in there and was scouting around, and I found beech trees, and you could see all the beech nuts on top of the snow, and you could see all the feed in there. And when I came back on my loop, I noticed there was like buck sign at the bottom of that hill, rub scrapes, following like a brook. So the following weekend, I was like, I saw all that feed sign. I should go in there and check things out. So I was kind of just still hunting, walking along, and then you see like the legs in the trees, and I was like, oh, there's a deer coming. So I just leaned up against a tree, and I was like, I think it's a buck.
Yeah.
I see it puts its head down. I'm like, oh, it's got to be a buck. Like only bucks put their heads down, right? It's still
sniffing.
It's still forever far away, and it's coming closer and closer, and I could see a sapling move. I'm like, oh, it's got to be a buck rubbing a tree now, and like everything in me wants to cock the hammer and shoot it, but it's still far away. It's still coming, and it seemed like forever, and it finally got right below the hill with me, and it was a nice little 8-point, and I shot that, and it, smoke. I had no idea what happened. I go down there, I find blood, and I'm following the blood and keeping my head up. I'm like, man, that rock up there looks awfully brown. And like one more step, and that's the deer get taken off out of its bed with the, being shot with the muzzleloader. And I shot it again when it was running away, and went down over a hill, and I could see it lying down there next to this brook I was talking about. And it's still kind of last leg in its breath. I was like, oh, maybe I should stab it. And I take my fanny pack off, go to get my knife. And I look over, and that deer's getting up on all 4 legs with its head down, squaring up with me. And I was like, I'm not going to be that guy that gets gored by a deer, and bam, I shot it a 3rd time.
Wow. See, I was going to, that's a crazy story. And I was going to bring up the fact that I did a podcast with this guy, Gary Dufresne, in Massachusetts. I forget what episode it is, but you guys can look it up if you want to go listen to it. And he was telling me about, when you said you looked up and you saw the rock, it looks awfully brown. He had a story where one day he was glassing, and he saw a bedded deer, and it was windy, and he's like, I'm going to sneak up on that thing. And he was down on he was crawling in, and it took him like 2.5 hours to get there and close the distance. And when he got there, it was just a rock. Ooh. And so it wasn't a deer at all. But he also had an experience where a deer was about to gore him. He actually ended up stabbing him. But both of those things related to that story. Yeah. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. That's a credible story. But just the stuff that, tracking brings you into, huh?
Yep.
You never know. It's like, I think a lot of people think that if you're tracking, like, you kill all your deer actually tracking. But a lot of the times you're killing either a satellite deer that's not the one you're tracking. They just bring you into a bunch of deer,
right?
Or there's a deer coming back on a back trail, or like what happened there. You don't know if that was the deer that you were actually following, right? It's just could be another deer that just deer are going to bring you into more deer.
Yeah.
And that's why tracking is pretty exciting.
And deer want to go where deer want to go. So
Yeah.
if you pick them up in a bedding area, there's chances you'll follow tracks to a feeding area.
Yeah.
Or, a pass where they want to get through a mountain. Like,
Yeah.
they'll take you to all these key places, terrain features, signpost rubs, the annual scrapes. So I think there's a lot of importance in following tracks.
Yeah.
And paying attention to what you see along the way.
You learn a ton on following tracks. And if you've got a GPS, you got OnX or one of the other apps, and you can go out in the snow and hit the tracker feature on it and follow tracks. Like sometimes I'll go out in a day and I'll say, today I'm going to follow the deer trails. And that's it. And I'll hit the tracker and I'll just walk on the thickest deer trails there are. And that's it. And I won't get off of it. As much as you want to get off of it, don't. If that's your goal that day, is just to map out the thick deer trail. Then when you look at it later, you can change the color of it to a different color or whatever. You can look at it and you go, all right, so that's the thickest deer trail. Then you can go back in a week later or whatever, follow a different trail. Follow some of the offshoots from them. But if you just map out the trails, then you have some really awesome information on your GPS that you can look and utilize to try to figure out where to put a stand location.
Yeah.
And along those trails, you're going to hit rubs, community scrapes. Yep. You're going to hit bedding areas. You're going to see all kinds of awesome stuff and mark all of that stuff down in your OnX because it's all information you can use to kill a deer. Like that second deer I killed this year, that 8-pointer, was because of the previous year I marked down it was a bedding area. And I hadn't ever hunted that bedding area, but I'd walked through that place one time. I was looking particularly that day to find a place that I can go check midday. I'd had a morning hunt. It was still windy and rainy, and I wanted to go check another place. And I was like, where's the best place to check? A bedding area right now. It's 10:30. They're likely not going to be feeding, although on the rut you never know. But I went in there. It's 10:30. I want to try to find a bedding area and sneak up on a bedded deer. That was my thought. I looked at the OnX. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about that place. I've never hunted it, but I was there 9 months ago, and then it came back. I was like, there was 8 or 9 beds there. I remember there distinctly being doe beds, and then there was a separate spot, only 50 yards away or so, that was distinctly buck beds. It had, you could tell the bed was bigger. When they were leaving, you could see where the buck peed and he was dribbling and all that stuff that identified that as an actual buck bed. So I knew buck, doe bedding, this is a perfect place for me to go check. And I used the OnX layer that shows like the trees. It's a new thing that they have. It shows the dominating tree in the area, and you can turn it on for oak, acorn producing trees and nut producing trees, and it showed that this place had tons of oaks. Although I didn't remember that from the previous year. That was pretty cool to like pick up that layer on OnX. Yeah. So it was perfect for me to go check it, and I just got really lucky and a buck was walking through. Yeah. But all of the information from the year before, everything that you can put down on your GPS and just remember, even if you don't use GPS, just remember it and log that stuff and go back and check those areas. It's like you need to do that. That's all going to add into your success.
And you know who else checks beds a lot?
Who's that?
Bucks check beds.
That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was coming through with his nose on the ground, just sniffing. He knew that was a doe bedding area. Yeah. It was perfect. I mean, it was drawn up perfectly, but it was definitely lucky. Yeah. But I mean, that was just an awesome experience. And so whatever you can do in the off season or during the season, doesn't have to be the off season, but Martin, use all the tools you got. Use the OnX. Do you have OnX, or what do you
Not
use?
yet. I plan on getting it though.
Yep. So how are you just doing everything by memory right now?
I have a little GPS.
Like one of those old school thick ones, you actually like a Garmin or something?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not like the first generation one. It's newer than that, but
yeah,
it's a Garmin.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I used that before I started using the OnX, and it works fine.
Yeah.
Just a little clunkier. What do you have for a phone?
An Android.
Droid.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm sure they work fine on there, but I've always been an iPhone guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know about the droids. All right, let's go back to your buck from this year.
All right.
Because we never told the whole story on that. We started talking about the signpost.
Yeah, so that signpost rub is like 1,400 yards from my kill tree. And I had to do some tweaking to the kill tree. It's in this funnel where the deer always seem to come through, and I noticed I saw a lot of traffic on this side hill, So I wanted to move over to that side hill.
And that side hill was too far away from your kill tree to get a shotgun shot?
It was more too far away to get a bow shot.
Okay.
But that's where I saw a lot of deer. That's where I picked up a rub line.
You saw deer there while you were in your original kill tree. You were like, man, there's a lot of deer going over there, and you adjusted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if a kill tree is the best word, but it's the same like 100-yard swath of woods that deer I would see a lot travel through.
Yeah.
And like I said, all the tracks always went through the same area.
Yeah.
But last year, a microburst came through and knocked down a lot of trees, and it really pinched where the deer go.
Oh.
So getting over to...
So it changed it.
So yeah, getting over to that other side, like, that really put me in the deer.
It pushed them away from you a little bit to that other hill.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
It made them more predictable.
Yep.
And there's, stone walls. So there's breaking a stone wall and come through the break of stone wall and go through, and that's where my new kill tree is, even though from my kill tree it's like I've killed a deer from that tree, I've killed a deer from that tree. Like it's just my area now.
But it's funny how, like, yes, sometimes the weather and just natural things can change, completely change the way deer move.
Yeah. Where I felt like the funnel was before, that microburst just filled it with trees. And it's not like they had a tree to walk around.
Yeah.
There was 100 yards of trees all over, root balls. It was a mess. It was a mess.
And in the big woods, any natural funnel is much more important. I mean, you have to key in on the natural funnels in the big woods too. So steep cliff edges or lakes or ponds, any kind of water, stream edge, saddles. But you don't really think about, because you can't see it from, scouting topo maps. You can't see fallen trees. But fallen trees are huge, especially, like you said, if there's a bunch of them that can funnel just even a slight funnel. They might only have to go around it for 50, 60 yards, and then they're back into the normal, natural, saddle or whatever
they're going
it is.
Around it, that's a pinch. Yep. So throughout the season, I didn't see a big deer. And I'm okay shooting like 80-inch 8-pointers. Like that's practically my jam.
Yeah.
That make me happy forever, shooting 80, 90-inch 8-pointers. But I didn't see any. And I let a spike horn live with my bow. I let a little 3-pointer live the first week with my muzzleloader. And one that I wish I shot with my bow was a doe, because I had a doe permit and I didn't fill it, and that makes me feel like I let everybody down. I guess I just got caught up with there might be a buck behind it.
Yeah, that happens to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big regret. But then it just never happened. But I have the pictures on the camera saying the deer was still in the area, daylighting. And I took Friday off of work, December 31st, the last day of the season.
That's when you got this buck?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was just going through the motions because I didn't want to give up. But by now,
wow, dude,
my heart wasn't in it anymore. And it's warm. It's kind of wet. And I'm sitting there just kind of like, man, it's coming to an end, Shed my tear for deer season be over.
Yeah, I remember it was warm that last day.
I heard like a thump, thump, thump. I'm like, oh, that's sounded like footfalls. Like, that's a deer. I'm looking out 100 yards as far as I can see. I can't pick a deer out, and I think this is crazy. I'm sitting in a big oak tree. I do a big crane. And then I hear thump, thump, thump again. Because it was so wet, that deer got like under me practically. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh, right there. And I grab my muzzle loader, and I get it in the scope. I'm like, that's a deer going, not coming. But as he was going to get out of there, not full bore running, bounding, just kind of like a little canter trot, I could see he was making a hook. And I had a forever long shooting lane in that one spot. And sure enough, he hits it. It's on the top of a little knoll. So he stopped to make sure it was safe on the other side. I was like, now or never, kapow. And the smoke cleared. And there's that white belly just lying there.
Do you see how big his rack was the whole time? Or
I only knew it was a buck.
Okay.
I didn't know what buck it was. But the smoke cleared. I could see the belly. It was like a 115-yard shot offhand. Like, I couldn't believe it. So reloaded as fast as I could and got down there. And whenever I got up to it, I was like, I killed the big buck. I couldn't believe it.
On the last day.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean. When you get to the last day and you've hunted hard all year, and even if you're just a weekend warrior, all those weekends and those long days and those long hours in the big woods, you can be pretty discouraged. But if it's the last day and you've got the time to get out and you can do it, just go do it. Yeah. There's no better example of it than that. You killed the biggest buck of your life on the last day. Yeah. On a hot day too.
And I thought he was just a big 9-point, and he had like a weird brow tine that came off like down.
Yep.
So that was cool too.
And what did he end up scoring? Do you know? Green scoring.
I greened him at 134 and
that's
7/8.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. What an awesome buck.
Yeah. Light though. Light. Yeah. 152.
Yeah. Last day too though.
Yeah.
You know, he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But that's cool. What are you hunting out of in your stance? Are you climb? What do you use?
I have a lone wolf climber. I use that a lot, but because of my kill tree being so good for so long, I put a lock on down there.
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, if you've got that.
Like I just take it down and leave it on the ground, and then come when I put my trail cameras out, I'll put it back up in the tree. I just put steps, sections, over by that signpost, and I hunt that out of a saddle, because that'll be an early season spot, and I don't feel like I can wear enough clothes and be warm in a saddle, so I don't hunt with the saddle once it gets late season.
Yep. So a couple of presets.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. But like running and gunning in New York State, I'm either in a saddle or I'm in my lone wolf.
Yeah, and it's totally different when you just know you're bow hunting and it's early season, and yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll all day sit, and I got a heater bodysuit, and that's real nice for keeping warm.
I've never used one of those, but like Vermont, all the type of hunting I've done up there was always pretty much all day sits and on the ground, just up against a tree, and I would just get a super thick, bodysuit, but didn't have the heaters in. That works pretty good, huh?
Well, it's just called a heater bodysuit. It's really just like a glorified sleeping bag.
Yeah. All right. Yep. I got something like that.
It's got like extra big booties that go over your boots to help your feet slide in, but they're like those Arctic Shield boots covers.
Yep.
And then it zips up one leg all the way right to the boot, and it just zips up. And there's a button about your waist. So if you're bow hunting, you like come out of it, and it only unzips to your waist, so it doesn't like completely get out of the way.
Yeah.
And it has back straps built in it that you just crisscross. So I've shot a lot of deer with my bow when it's cold out, and with that. Yeah.
Do you ever find any issue like with the bigger stuff when with the string hitting against a puffier jacket? Because that happened to me a few years ago.
No, but I think the heater bodysuit kind of helps with that, because once you pop out of it, then you're kind of in your mid-weight gear, so it's not.
Oh, so you pop out of it before you shoot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's zipped up, and you see the deer coming in, you unzip it, and you kind of just pump out. And
that seems like a lot of unnecessary movement, but I guess you got to do it.
You got to see them before they see you.
Yeah.
I mean, all you're doing is waiting for them, so
keep
a sharp eye, right?
Yeah. We got a lot of stuff we'll go through on some show and tell here. I'm curious to see what you got, but before we get into that, so we do have to talk about, you're known for taking your pictures with your deer with your shirt off, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit, and what that's, has it created controversy for you, and what we think about, in terms of what is the right way to take pictures with your animals, and everybody's got different opinions on it, but it is unique. I've never seen anybody that takes pictures with their animals with their shirt off. Let's talk about it.
There's two really famous people that have done it in the past. Ted Nugent and Vladimir Putin have done it.
Oh. I don't know if you want to be in the same
I know.
category as Vladimir.
Once all this stuff started happening, I was like, man, I hope I don't have to say his name, but
well, I know the whole joke before Vladimir Putin became this evil. I mean, he was always evil, but now what he was doing, the whole joke before that was Vladimir Putin rides on a horseback with his shirt off, and he's the macho guy. But all of that aside,
and then I've heard Ted Nugent talk about him with his shirt off, and he was like, I was in Africa in August. It was just hot.
Yeah.
So he didn't do it for any good reason either. It was just me and my buddies, like, joking around with each other. And it's to the point now where if I put something up on my Facebook and I have a shirt on, everybody's like, hey, what do you got your shirt on for? So it's like become part of who I am now.
So it started back in 2000? When did you take your first picture like that? Oh man! And it probably started. Were you just texting your friends with the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, 2016 maybe.
Yep.
But that almost doesn't seem far enough back.
Well, who knows? But I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
Initially I'd think. That's unique. That's okay. It's not like you're not stepping on the deer. I don't like the ones where people lay down next to them and take pictures like that.
Yeah, it's like a close up with their tongue out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of like, if I had to think what's the perfect picture, it's probably just the classic behind it or having it hanging, from a meat pole somewhere or in the back of the truck, and it's just a classic picture, right? Yeah. I don't think necessarily that I have anything super against your pictures. But I know a lot of people do, right? So what have you seen for backlash?
Mainly Boston bow hunters. They're not my friends anymore, and I think that has a lot to do with it because they feel like I'm very disrespectful. But on the other end of the spectrum, the New York Hunt Club page, that Facebook page, like I'll put a picture up with me with my shirt off with a deer, and I'll get 1,500 likes on it. And the admins joke about the people that badmouth me that they kick them off. They're like, "Oh, we lost six members."
Again, everybody's just got different opinions on it.
Right.
When you start talking about like a Facebook page and admin, it's just like every single page could be completely different.
And they are.
And they are completely different. But like, are you doing it at this point for the likes, or what are you doing it for?
No, we originally started doing it because we all thought it was funny. We still think it's funny. And when people get fired up about it, it's all the more funny.
Do you think at any point, it does give anti-hunters any kind of ammo? Do you think if an anti-hunter saw it, they might think...
Antis are going to be antis no matter what.
Yeah.
They're one-track minds, so I don't...
No matter what, right?
Yeah, you're not going to make that river flow north like they flow south.
Yeah. Have you had any anti-hunters reach out to you, or have you heard anything about like from that side of
the
whole community? No, it's mostly just other hunters who might think one way or the other.
Yeah. And I'm not super popular, so it's not I'm not touching a global fan base here.
Yeah. Again, from my side, I don't really, I don't have any strong opinion on it one way or the other. I think it looks like you're having fun. You just had a really successful hunt. You killed an animal. At first when I saw the picture, actually, when you sent me the first one, I was like, oh, it just kind of reminds me of like a Neanderthal killing a buffalo. That's
That's me. I'm a simpleton, man.
That's the first thing that came to my mind, was like, all right, well, that's maybe what the Neanderthals looks like after they killed a deer. They're just super excited. They got an animal.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Your shirt's off versus your shirt's on. I see both sides. I see where there can be the argument that it might give the anti-hunters a little bit of more ammo, right? Or it might look much more disrespectful. I don't really know. I don't know. I'm not going to reserve judgment on it.
I got another fun story about having your shirt off. So a friend of mine who recently got into hunting.
Yep.
We bring him hunting, and he shoots a deer, and before any of us can get to him to help, he's got
his pants off. Now that would be disrespectful.
He goes to gut it, and then when he guts the deer out before we get to him, and then when we get to him, he's got his shirt off, and we're like, Jeremy, what are you doing, man? And he's like, well, I've seen the pictures of you with your shirt off, Matt, so I figured you did it for a reason. He's like, it was so much easier to keep blood off my shirt with it not being on. And then I just went over to the stream and washed my arms off.
That is true, actually.
And he's like, I didn't get bloody. I didn't get wet.
Now, there you go.
Yeah, so it worked out 100%, but yeah, that's not why I do it.
No, but that does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be really hot sometimes dragging. You know, so but do you put your shirt back on, or do you drag the deer out with your shirt off?
Sometimes I'll just put my orange vest back on because it like you say, it's a lot of work getting them out sometimes.
Oh yeah, it can, especially in the big woods for sure.
Yep. Yeah. I really like those deer carts.
Yeah, I've never actually used a deer cart. I got a sled. I know quite a few people have deer carts, but I was always so used to just dragging deer out in bare ground, and then once I started shooting deer down here, people were like, "What are you doing? You know it's gonna mess up the Cape." I never even thought about mountain deer before, you know, but messing up the Cape, and it's just so much easier putting it in a sled or something.
Yep.
Let's talk about this here. So,
all right. So
what do we got here?
This is a typical 300 round. And a 300 round consists of 12 5-arrow ends. And if you stick your arrow into the dark blue, it's worth 4.
Yep.
And if you keep it in the white, it's 5.
Yep.
And then you also keep track of your X's.
From what distance is it?
This is 20 yards.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like playing the indoor game is the best way to really nail home good form, body mechanics, everything when it comes to archery.
So do you shoot at like your local archery club or?
Yeah, like this one I just shot at a Wednesday night league. Tomorrow's sectionals, which is a nationally recognized shoot, but it's really just for New England.
Okay, see, I didn't realize when we were talking about doing this podcast, and we can put that down now. So see your face a little better. But when we were talking about doing the podcast, you're like, "Yeah, I'd rather not do it on Saturday night because I've got sectionals or the sectionals start Sunday." I thought you were talking about like March Madness basketball. I'm like, you don't. What, you got to wake up early and watch basketball?
No.
Yeah. So sorry if you know what time's the sectional start tomorrow.
9.
All right. Okay.
In Manchester, Connecticut.
All right. So you're gonna have a long night. I didn't realize what you were talking about when you said sectional started. But
I got thinking about it, and if I'm a little tired, I might have to pay attention a little bit more.
yeah, it might make you better.
Might zone right in a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe if I'm extra tired when I get home, I'll sleep better too.
So who goes down to the sectionals? Is it like all the clubs in the north? Is it a big thing for the Northeast?
I guess.
Yeah.
It's through the MFAA, which is the Massachusetts Field Archery Association.
Yep.
And they do like a tournament every weekend. And then they have state championships for each state.
Yep.
Like, that's only for residents. And then the sectionals, the next step. Like, that's the region. And it's broken up into, the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Southern, Midwest, West.
Okay.
So.
Is my boy Brian Visco going to be there, or is it like a different...
He very well could be.
Yeah?
Cool. I've absolutely seen him at MFA events.
Nice. Well, I hope he goes.
Yeah.
And, good luck on it. So, what you're doing at that event is shooting from 20 yards?
Yep.
Doing exactly what you did here?
Yep.
And how many sets of arrows, or what is it actually called? Do you shoot... There's 5 targets, and you shoot 6 at each one?
So each end, and there's 12 scoring
What
ends,
does an end mean?
5 arrows.
Okay.
So there's a top line and a bottom line.
Yep.
The bottom line goes first, so all those people shoot their 5 arrows at their target, and then they walk back off the line, and people walk up to the line to shoot the top targets.
Yep.
And then everybody goes down and scores.
So an end is 5 arrows.
Yep.
And there's how many ends? 5?
12.
12. You do 12 ends.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's 60 arrows for a 300 round.
Okay. And what's like... So it's a 4 when you're in the... go through the scoring again.
It's a 4.
Because I really don't know much about it. But
It's a 4 when you're in the dark blue.
Yep.
And it's 5 if you're in the white.
Yes.
And then they also keep track of the X's.
But it's not anymore if you get an X?
It is not.
Okay, so just you're really trying to hit this white.
Yep.
Yep. That's the bullseye, essentially.
Yep.
So is it when you get a tie, the X's count?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll, like at some of the bigger tournaments, they'll count inside outs as well.
Yeah.
So if you get an X, it has to not be touching that ring. It has to be all the way in it.
Okay.
But if you see my arrow holes...
And they're all with practice tips?
Yeah. Yeah, glue-ins.
Yep.
If you see my arrow holes, they're like way bigger than your arrows.
Yeah.
Because you only need to touch the next highest scoring to get the next highest scoring.
Yeah.
So we all shoot 27s or 23s.
Yep.
Fat arrows, not just the tips.
Yeah.
Like the arrows themselves.
Yep. All right, cool. Yeah, that's totally something I've never even looked into or watched or been a part of. I'm sure I'll get into it at some point. What is like, so are the best archers in the world always getting inside that inner ring most of the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys can play.
And is it always 20 yards?
For this, yes.
Okay, but there's different, just like track and field, there might be.
Yeah, this is MFA indoors. The MFA outdoors is bullseyes on like hay bales through the woods, and that's everywhere from like 11 feet to 80 yards.
Yeah. Cool.
But that's same thing with bullseyes. And then they have other rounds outside called hunter rounds, and they just kind of vice versa, where it's a black background with a white bullseye.
Yeah.
And then the regular MFAs are the white background with black bullseyes. Hunters are the opposite. Black backgrounds, white bullseyes, yeah.
Sweet. Are you using the same bow that you hunt with to shoot these?
No.
Okay.
I will use the same bow that I do 3D tournaments with.
Yep.
To hunt with. But I have a different bow for every application, really.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that tomorrow. What else we got? What's in here? You got a bunch of pictures?
Yeah, that's my, like I said, I dropped it in the snow. But that's my photo book of some deers. All the deers. It's in chronological order.
When did you start hunting? And how did you get into hunting? Was it like did your dad teach you
through family? I started like pheasant hunting, following my uncle around. My father took me deer hunting once. I thought that was boring, but then a deer jumped up and he shot at it, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Where was that? In Western Mass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it wasn't really until I was like 16.
Is this Spike your first buck?
The Spike a few pages back was.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the first deer, and that was a New York deer too. My first deer kit was a New York deer.
Dude, Spike, something about a spike. It was my first deer, my second deer.
I've been no stranger to shooting spikes.
Yep. And these look like all bow. So your first deer were bow. You did a lot of bow hunting early on?
Yep.
That's a nice one too. 4-pointer. Third deer. There you go. There's your 80-inch 8-pointer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the groundwork right there. Do that forever.
So do you have you killed a deer from the ground actually? I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. What do you think about ground hunting? Was it by accident that you did, or
it makes me nervous because like you're at their level. I really
so much more exciting though, isn't it?
I really like being above them, but walking around the woods with a gun, like that's where you are though.
Yeah, I mean, I've always it feels weird to me to have a gun up in a tree stand. Those were two things I never even put together. Like I just would have never thought that when you have a gun in your hand, you could ever be in a tree. Yeah. But I do see people doing that.
It only rubs me the wrong way if there's snow. Like if I could be following a deer around, I want to be following a deer around.
Yeah.
But if it's like really old stale snow, I'm okay sitting in my stand then.
Seeing lots of deer, man. You killed lots of deer.
Yeah.
New York deer too. This 8-pointer.
Yep.
Yeah. Still got the shirt on back then. You must not have been working out as much.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it was definitely pre-gym.
There's a muzzy. Dude, how many deer have you killed? Do you know?
93.
Holy crap. Yeah.
But I mean, you with all your extra tags that you can get in New York and stuff, like you can shoot 7 deer a year.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you actually can go do that and you do that, that's awesome, dude. I have no idea how many I've killed, probably.
Yeah, but I've
25 or 30.
I've hunted Mass, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Missouri, Vermont, and Georgia.
What's Missouri? What's Missouri like? I've heard so many good things about that. Did
So
you just go on one trip there, or?
yeah, no, we went twice.
Yep.
We went twice, but my buddy's wife went to school out there.
Yep.
So it was a, I don't know, professor let her and us hunt his ranch. We called it a farm, and he's like, hey,
Yeah, that's cool.
he's like, hey, I don't grow vegetables. He had longhorn steers. So he's like, it's a ranch.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. But
He didn't grow any food.
we knew where we would kill deer from sitting right here.
Yeah.
Like, we looked at the aerial map, and I was like, oh, there's a windrow separating these two fields. There's a patch of woods, and there's a windrow separating two fields on the other side of the property. Like, I feel like deer are going to go from windrow to windrow and cut that woodlot.
Yeah.
And, like, I said that here, and we went out there, and, like, that was where I killed my deer. And there was a pinch point on a windy little river. My buddy's like,
They must have big bucks out there, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you get a nice one?
No, I shot a barely legal deer. Like, it had to have 4 on one side. I shot a 7-pointer.
Yeah.
But I'm not upset about it. It was the biggest one I saw.
That sounds like that's how you hunt. It doesn't, you don't really care, right? It's
Right.
a legal deer, shoot it.
Yeah.
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 That deer looks pretty big for a small rack. Might just be the angle.
It's probably just movie magic.
Yeah. So he's got a big old chest to him, big shoulders.
Yeah. That deer was probably right off of a cornfield.
Where was that one from? In New York?
New York State,
Yep.
yeah.
There's a nice one there.
That's the first big one I was talking about.
2012, right?
Yep, 2012.
And so that was before.
Can I say that's a Berkshire buck, or is that too revealing?
It's up to you, man.
I'm that guy that always says, "Hey, stop talking about Massachusetts," and like Jason Alex is like, "Yeah, everybody's always hating when I talk about Mass." Like, no, that's just me being funny, but you can't read funny, when
like,
it's just a comment on your YouTube.
I've had even with HuntStock, like promoting HuntStock, some people in Westminster like, stop, you're promoting this event that's coming to Westminster, and everyone's gonna want to come hunt in Westminster now. It's like, no, dude, it's like,
no, it's just location to have an event.
That's where the event is. There's events in Springfield, Mass, the Springfield Sportsman Show, and 30,000 people go to that event. It's heyday.
Yeah.
Not 30,000 people are just invading that area to hunt. They're just going there for the event. That's where the event is.
Right. On Isaac Young's YouTube video where he killed that humongous deer in Mass, I said something about Massachusetts on his video, and people were like, "That's the stupidest opinion to ever have to deter people to hunt somewhere." And I didn't mean it like that, man.
Yeah. Dude, that's a really nice buck. Did you ever score that? Oh, that's this one.
Bingo.
No, that's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not this one.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
That was the
I
first
was like, damn, I'm looking at the same buck.
Yeah.
Did you score this one?
The big ones I put more pictures of in.
Yeah.
That one was...
It looks like 120. It's like 122 or something.
It was 120 and 5/8.
Sweet. Beautiful buck. Yeah, there's that one.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, just luck of the draw.
Nice big doe there. You get one with a pistol? Or you just finished it with a pistol?
Sometimes I just use props to make fun pictures.
All right. There's a good one too there.
Yeah, that was one of the better New York deer.
Do you still take, even though in the day of cell phones, do you still print out pictures and put them in here?
Yes.
Let's get. I want to see your deer from this year.
Oh, I put random stuff in the back.
Okay.
So it was like friends stuff. That's this year.
Yeah, a couple with the shirt on, one with the shirt off.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, see, like you just to me, you're looking like what a caveman would do.
Which one did I put in there? I don't even remember.
That one.
Yeah, I also like the hunter howl, I call it.
Yeah.
Where I'm yelling, screaming. Everybody thinks that's crazy to do in the deer woods too. Yell and scream.
Well, if you're hunting with buddies too, like everybody yells and after you get a deer, dude. It's like
I'll strike a pose. Ready? Silent. Like, it looks loud in the photos. I'm not making a peep.
What do we got in here?
Oh, these are some belt buckles and medals I've won.
Yeah, so when you said you have archery belt buckles, is that what they give away when you win?
A lot of times, yeah, it's a popular prize.
Northeast Triple Crown known yardage.
Yeah,
That's cool.
That was a short-lived series. It only happened a couple years, but it was a good time.
Rusty Wilkinson.
This series seems like it's going to be big soon.
What's that?
The ASA.
Yep. Is it like new?
Yeah, but with the ASA, a lot of their classes are known yardage, so I feel like that takes a lot of fear out of going to a 3D shoot.
Because why? Like, there's a lot of shoots where it's like you walk up and you can't use a rangefinder and you have to guess.
You got to guess.
Okay.
You got to guess.
Yeah. See, like, I still don't know much about 3D shoots and any of this archery outside of hunting. I don't know much about that other side of it.
Which is
and it's partly the reason why, with HuntStock, I would love to build my own 3D course, but I just know nothing about that side.
Yeah.
So I need somebody who knows what they're doing to build that part of HuntStock.
Yeah.
I know people want to have 3D shoots. So far, I'm still trying to land in on who is going to be building that. There's a few guys thinking about it, but for some reason, it seems like it's a huge undertaking, and I didn't realize how big an undertaking is to build a 3D course that is to the standard of what people like yourself. For me, I've shot 2 or 3 courses at sportsmen's clubs, right?
Right.
And that was fun, and then that's all I know. I was using rangefinders, and I've never done like an official 3D shoot. So, still looking for somebody who really wants to take that opportunity, make their, build a course. They need the targets, run the whole thing from beginning to the end, and it's not part of the ticket price to HuntStock, so they can figure out how much they want to charge for it. That's a fair price that people, whatever you go to, and how much you normally pay at a 3D course. Like if you're gonna go shoot one.
There's like different levels of 3D courses.
You've got,
like if it's your local sportsman's club, it's like $10 to $15.
Yeah.
If it's like an IBO qualifier, an ASA, it's like 25, 35.
Yeah.
Some bigger events, 50, 100. I think it's almost $100 to do Worlds.
Yeah. Like I was never even thinking about. When I'm starting HuntStock, I wasn't even thinking I was thinking more along the lines of, we'll build something like a sportsman's club, and you can shoot it and you can have fun, and then people were like, oh no, we should have the actual scoring sheets and all of that stuff. Like that's completely outside of my realm.
Like you were thinking like a practice range to just go have fun on.
No, like actually walk through like you would, a nice course, like you would at a golf course. You walk through the whole thing, but I didn't realize, there's the different rings that people actually keep scores and all of that, and that's what I would like to do, something in the mid range. You know what I'm saying? For HuntStock. So still feeling that out. We're gonna have a course there. Once we have somebody solidified on who's building it, we'll tell everybody the level of the course that it's going to be or whatever, and what it's actually going to look like. But yeah, if you know anybody that would build one and would want to, because you're in that world, would want to take that opportunity, we're going to have a few thousand people. A couple hundred will shoot it. I mean, there's an opportunity for whoever wants to do it to make a little money, but build something fun that's going to be great for HuntStock.
Yeah. I know. A family vacation that weekend. Otherwise, I'd be there.
Yeah. I know it. It's the big thing about being in August, is first of all, I wanted to do something that was just different than any other event. And most of the sportsman shows and the hunting shows are in the winter,
now.
January to March, right? January to April maybe. And then turkey season starts and stuff, so they all stop. And I wanted to have a show that's not in any hunting season, so August. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few, but the big seasons, they're not starting until September. September 1st. You start getting into some bear stuff.
Your August pronghorn season and
yep,
out
you
west
might have a few.
Isn't gonna affect us
it
in
might
the
a few. It might with a few people, but I want to do something completely different and have it then. But also, August is a lot of people's anniversaries, a lot of weddings and stuff like that happen. So I realize a lot of people aren't gonna, might not be pre-buying tickets. There's gonna be a lot showing up at the door, and that's gonna make it very unpredictable for me and the farmers on how many people are gonna show up.
Yeah.
But,
I wish I could make it. I know it's gonna be a good time.
yeah. Well, we're gonna do it every single year, so.
Yeah, a lot of big names on that roster too.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the other thing. I wanted to just have the best talent possible.
Yeah.
Just blow any other event out of the water in terms of speakers, and no one's ever had live podcast shows. Like, we're going to do podcast after podcast after podcast. So if that's your thing, you can come listen to them live, and it's just going to be really cool. Tons of different seminars. We want to have stuff for kids to do. So talking with the Big Woods guys, maybe one of them will have like some kind of a kids not seminar, but hands-on thing where they can take kids out in the woods for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and show them different things, right? Yeah. Reedy's going to be there. He's big with kids and showing kids how to build arrows and stuff like that. Like, we want to have a lot of things for kids to do there, but also, for the parents to have fun,
I remember back when I would shoot the IBO qualifier at the Sportsman Show.
Yeah.
That I think Reedy's would set that up. So maybe you could talk to them.
Yeah.
But I know. That was a long time ago, too, so maybe they don't do that.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff I want to talk with Chris about. He's building his second shop down in Virginia. I don't know if you heard about that, but they opened up Reedy's in Virginia, so he's been...
I'm Western Mass.
all gung-ho down there building his second shop. So, there's definitely plenty of options. I'm not worried about it, and Boston Bowhunter still might do it. We're trying to work out a few details with them, but HuntStock's going to be awesome. Whether it's me building that 3D archery course, like I said, that's not part of the ticket price to HuntStock anyway. 3D archery is like an additional thing. If we get an awesome course, somebody's gonna build, like you said, the Worlds or a qualifier that's worth $100, maybe they're gonna charge that, but I don't think so. I think it's gonna be a middle of the road $20, $25 course, something like that. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
That's achievable. That's doable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to leave the folks with here? We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes here.
Oh, no kidding. I don't know, man. I don't know.
No.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah. How do you like, let's talk about real quick your venison and how you like to prepare your venison. What's your favorite way to eat it?
Oh, I just like eating it now. Like last year at about this time, I had some blood work done and I had like heart attack ready cholesterol.
Really?
And they're like, red meat, no more. So, can you see? I just had more blood work done today.
Yeah.
This would be 6 months. So
and it's because you're eating too much red meat?
It's in my genes.
Yeah.
Like, I went to the first lab, and they told me my cholesterol was super, super high, and that I needed to eat right and exercise more. But that's also a lot of what I do.
Yeah.
And so it's just in my genes. So we cut back red meat significantly, and my numbers started to go down.
Really?
So with this test I just got, we'll see if it's continued to go down, if I've plateaued. So anytime I can get red meat, which is maybe once a week now. But
it's venison.
But there was a while where it was like once a month.
Wow.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah. It's like the Lone Star tick. If that thing bites you, it can turn you allergic to meat, red meat. It's just, know.
Me and my friends butcher all our own deer. And we don't do a lot of steaks, like back straps, inner loins. And we do a lot of grinding. We do a lot of grinding with just bacon. So we'll have like bacon burger. We'll do a lot of sausages. And a lot of times we just do like 2-pound packages. We got a fancy patty maker for the grinder that spits them out pretty quick. But it seems like just the bulk bags are the easy way to go, because that way if you want to do a sauce or do patties once you unthaw it, it's easy enough. So we do that.
So you're gonna have to give away a lot more meat now, you think, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
But it's not hard to give it away. Like somebody always wants.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and that's one of the really fun parts about.
Yeah.
Killing deer and hunting, sharing with friends who don't do it and who really like take the package of meat as a luxury when you give it to them,
Yeah.
When you give it to somebody who doesn't appreciate it, that's when you realize you're never going to give them
another, that's their last piece.
You're never going to give them another piece of meat,
that's
And there's plenty of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about something else we could talk about.
Yeah.
We were saying about your arm hitting close.
Yep.
Like a lot of string strikes are directly related to grip on the bow. So like your proper grip would be right there, knuckles at a 45, your pointer finger down the riser of the bow, and then wrap your thumb around it.
You see? And that's exactly, a couple years ago when I first started getting seriously into archery.
Tight. This would be down the front of your bow when you'd close your hand.
When I first got into it a few years ago, I was like, I was holding it like that.
That open V guy, but
that pops out.
It puts the fat flat.
Yep.
And that's where you get your hit.
Yep.
So you do that rotation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how I've been shooting. But a few years ago, I had a problem. I was wearing a puffier coat than normal, but I was also shooting just the wrong way. I was self-taught on everything. Nobody really showed me, so that was bowing out a lot, and I was getting smashed here, black and blues here for.
Yeah, that's directly related to grip. And that's called Fredbear Fingers. He just had a birthday, March 5th. If he was still alive, he'd be 120.
Yeah, Fred Bear's, just a legend. Yeah. One of my favorite wildlife artists who I've just looked at all of his paintings and wanted to buy some, and I'm just waiting till I get, my right set up for a trophy room so I can plan everything out meticulously before I buy all these paintings. But I want to get is Jack Palu. You ever heard of that guy?
No.
Jack Palu. He's from Pennsylvania. He's a Native American, and he paints some great shit, and a lot of his stuff has Fred Bear in there. And just go check out Jack Palu. I mean, I'm actually talking to him about coming to HuntStock too. Hopefully he'll come. But JackPaluh.com. He is the man. Like, his stuff is so awesome. I've just been looking at it for years. But it's a lot of bow hunting stuff, and you'll have like a Fred Bear. He'll with his long bow looking around a tree and like a nice buck, and it's like it's all just wait till you see it. It's incredible stuff, and I'm hoping he can showcase some of that art up at HuntStock. That's one of the things. Like, I love art. I love art. I'm an artist at heart.
He wasn't the fellow that you had on, was he?
Nope. That's a local guy here.
That was a different artist.
Yeah, local guy, Josh Durant. He's coming out there, and it's crazy. Like, I wasn't trying to, but I've inspired him to really get into his whitetail art again. And it's awesome when, like, something that you're not trying to, there's an unintended consequence, but he's extremely inspired to get back. He lost art for a little while, and he talks about it on the podcast, but he was a big bird painter for a while. He got into deer hunting a lot more and recently, and now he's switched over to whitetail, and the stuff that he's doing now is incredible too. Yeah. Have you seen like just recently he's posting stuff up on Instagram with the Massachusetts, state in the back, and for Western he's got a buck in the middle, and the western side he's got these mountains and hills with snow and trees on, and over on the right it's just like the silhouette of Boston with you can see the sun shining in off the windows and shit, and it's just beautiful, beautiful work.
Yeah, I only saw what was on your podcast.
Yep.
I don't Instagram.
Yeah, it's on his Instagram now, but it's gonna be a lot of artists there. Carl, forgive me, Carl, if your last Carl Leiser, I think is his last name. He goes by CT Carl on Facebook. He's a legendary hunter from Connecticut. He's in his late 70s now. He's up there in the Benoit's age and does a lot of tracking. He's an awesome, awesome hunter. I'm going to go do a podcast down at his spot in Connecticut. He's got trophy room like you wouldn't believe. Big shed hunter, and he does a lot of art with the sheds that he finds. He carves stuff in and paints moose sheds and shit like that. He's going to be up at HuntStock too. I saw him at the Sportsman Show. Nice. So he's going to display all of his wildlife, beautiful art. I just want to get a little bit of everything there, Yeah. Have little sections. Have the art section. We're going to have a saddle section. Wild Edge is bringing their saddles. We're talking to a few different saddle brands. Latitude Outdoors, JX3 Outdoors. Tethered, I don't think is actually going to make it, but that's all right. But there's going to be a whole saddle section and people doing demos on saddles. Yeah. Those guys out in New York that have that unique way of of climbing. I forget what that's called, but somebody just hit me up about them. There's those two famous dudes that DRT or something like that. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I haven't looked into it, but I see the posts on the saddle pages about DRT and one sticking and all that other
those
stuff.
two New York brothers, and there's a chance they come out. I want everybody to be able to learn just a bunch of different unique things, to be entertained all day with hands-on demos, and just completely different than sportsman shows where you're walking up and down aisles. You might buzz by a booth. You might feel like someone's trying to sell you something. We just want every booth to offer something really cool that makes people need to stop there and not want to walk by.
Right. Like talking to an old friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Have good conversations. So all the YouTube pages will have their own cool, unique things that they're doing. And every one of them is so passionate about hunting. You can just stop and talk about hunting with them. Podcasts, you might pop in. You might jump on a podcast. There's going to be people doing podcasts from everywhere there. Yeah. So, man, I don't know. I'm talking too much about HuntStock, but I'm excited about it. Dude, I really appreciate you coming. I hope you had fun. I really sincerely appreciate you building. I couldn't build that. So even if you don't think that's a quality build, that is awesome.
Yeah. I'll be pumped if I see it in use in a future podcast.
It will, man. It will. And now it's going to be one of my projects to like stain it. That's going to be a thing. I'm going to sand it down a little bit, stain it, and do some, some of those types of finishing touches to it.
It's I don't know if you care, but it's all recycled wood. I pulled it off a job site.
That's completely fine with me, man. Yeah. Beggars can't be choosers, but that is awesome. That'll definitely be featured in future podcasts, and it really is greatly appreciated, dude.
Awesome. You're welcome.
Well, thanks a lot again for coming.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye now.